Hey BuckPole viewers, welcome back. This is a reshoot of a video that I did actually live about a month or so ago on what are the scent tips, tricks, and techniques that I use throughout the year while scouting. I'm redoing this because the live stream turned out absolutely disastrous. So I'm trying to make up for it and give you guys something that's usable and not blurry all over the place. So let's dive into it, get started. Let's start out in the winter, and I'll work my way all the way through the season, and I will let you know what I use for scent tips and tricks. In winter, I really don't use anything. In Wisconsin, we get typically a reasonable amount of snow. I scout by literally going into the woods and busting through the woods. Doesn't really matter where, when, anything like that to me. Um, Completely set on busting everything I can out of the area that it's in to basically help identify where deer are bedding, paths, stuff like that, the trails they're using, and all that. If I end up spooking something with scent, I don't really worry about it too much just because of the fact that I'm pushing deer out of the area and I'm finding out where they are bedded down. This is one of my favorite techniques to use typically is winter scouting because you typically learn the most from that time of the year because the deer are just getting out of the season. They're just getting back into their normal routines. You tend to learn a lot more about that time of year just afterwards than you do in all of the preseason scouting leading up to deer season. From there, I shift towards the summer. The summer, I do a lot of long distance type scouting. I try to stay out of the woods as much as possible. In summer, especially late summer, early summer, I will typically run a lot of trail cameras on anything that I have for mineral locations, any water sources that are congregated, any trails that funnel down that are off of a main human traffic trail. Um, the reason I tend to try to use these specific areas is I can go through with a truck, a four wheeler, anything like that, foot traffic, and I can switch out trail camera cards, all that stuff. I hang my trail cameras about 6 feet in the air. I actually take a little 1.5 foot high footstool with me in order to use the trail camera mounts that I use and to be able to get it high enough up that it's above deer's head level so they're not really catching too much of a scent off of it. Not saying it doesn't happen, not saying that it is impossible to not leave scent. I'm not worrying about it too much though because I'm on a human trail of some sort. Uh, Otherwise, the only other type of scouting I typically do in late spring to early summer is I will long distance scout, whether it's through a spotting scope. Wisconsin, we don't get too many huge open areas. We do have a lot of farm fields that you're going to see a few hundred yards across, some of them. At night, our state allows shining of deer. I do a lot of scouting at night by going around with my kids and my father-in-law, and we will shine fields for deer and deer movement, especially right after the sun goes down, because we want to know where they're coming out, where they're actually feeding at, where they're congregating, have a general idea. And then also at that time of night, with a good spotlight and a pair of binoculars, you can actually see where and how quality of bucks you have as you're going through the summer, and you're not putting that heavy pressure on them because it's something that a lot of people around here do, so it doesn't really add any pressure to your current hunting situation. Then as fall rolls around, I get into very heavy scent control. I will go and I buy your run-of-the-mill all scentless scent packs to be able to wash clothes in. I could probably do a video on what I do to try to help with the scent elimination. I did a carbon tote video a while back, and I do a little bit modified version of that now, but it's pretty much still the same concept. You use a unscented, non-match ready type charcoal to help filter out all of the scent out of the tote, or you use some form of cover scent, one or the other. And if you're going to use cover scent, I suggest using anything that's local to your area. If you have pines, use pines. If you have oaks, use oaks. A lot of areas I hunt have maples. I'll take those little helicopter seeds that come off of the maples. I'll grind them up in a food processor and throw in a little bit of dirt with it, and I'll make a little scent pack with those and a little Glad container. I'll poke some holes in the top of it, and I will place that in the tote that I will be using in that area for the clothes that I'll be using in that specific area. And that will diffuse the scent throughout the whole entire tote, and it'll help you blend in with the natural smells of the surrounding area. I also give my clothes a carbon bath. So as soon as they come out of the washer with the scent-free detergent, I will soak them in a carbon bath, and then I will hang them out on the line for about a week to try to negate any human odor possible. I know there's guys that go as far as they will use a separate washer that doesn't have any scent in it of any sort from any former fragrance type clothes wash or anything like that, any fabric softener, all that stuff. I unfortunately don't have the budget to afford a second washer, so I'm not able to do that. Then as the season goes through, I will keep up on that scent regimen pretty tight because I try to eliminate as much. If you're never going to eliminate 100% human scent, so eliminate as much as you can. Then also during the season, the cover scents that I typically use depend on what I am hunting. My area, coyotes are very prevalent, so red fox isn't as common as I would like. So I don't use red fox cover scent because of the fact that it's not very believable. There's not many red fox around. I use a lot of raccoon urine for cover scent just because there's a lot of raccoons. The farm fields produce some of the biggest raccoons you'll probably ever see in your life. I mean, I've seen some big old fat 50, 60 pound raccoons come out of Wisconsin cornfields. So it's not uncommon for me when I climb up into my tree stand to have raccoon scat sitting in my tree stand. So raccoon is a very believable scent that time of year, and it works really well. Beyond that, I use plain unscented deodorant. You can buy the Dead Downwind, the scentlok, or any of that stuff, or you can literally go down the main aisle of your local department store, convenience store, grocery store, wherever you get your normal deodorant from, and you can find unscented deodorant in that aisle, and you can use that. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot else that I have really to share. So if any of you guys have any good tips or tricks, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Hopefully this video turns out a whole lot better than the last one. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Feel free to share this if you feel so fit. And I hope this helps you enjoy the outdoors with your family and friends.